Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. Glad to be back with you guys on this Monday. It's actually September. Can you believe that summer has gone by so fast? But that's okay. Don't worry. It's that time of the year for us to settle in and enjoy our homes. Well, we kind of been enjoying them because really we've been on lockdown, you guys, for 6 months now. Can you believe it? The quarantine for many people who have not really ventured out other than going to the grocery store, maybe a doctor's appointment, getting some air and exercise. But other than that, we have officially been in what we consider quarantine due to coronavirus 6 months now. I just cannot believe it. But that's okay. I'm going to keep you guys company. I have another great show for your viewing and listening pleasure this evening. September is National Preparedness Month. And what do we mean by preparedness? How ready would you and your family be if a disaster was to strike? As you guys all know, California is experiencing wildfires that have now moved into Oregon. There are also 2 tropical storms. We just had one, and if I'm not mistaken, Tropical Storm Sally is on the way. And so tonight we're going to talk about your family being ready and prepared in case of an emergency. This is very important this evening. The other night on the show, I made a joke about my man purse and that I have everything in my man purse, and I meant to bring it tonight to show you guys, but we can actually talk about everything that's in there. And if you ever see me on the streets, just say, Art, show me your man purse, and I'll show you exactly everything I have in there. Former Boy Scout and former flight attendant, so you know I'm always ready and prepared. Well, our guest co-host tonight is no stranger to the show. She's been here with us many times before. We just love and adore her. And when we think of emergency, when we think of first responders, nobody better than Miss Danielle Cortes DeVito. She's a paramedic and an emergency preparedness media consultant. So that means she talks about this, and that's why she's co-host. Welcome her back to the show. Hey.
Hello, everyone.
How are you? Is it still a little choppy, or has it gotten better?
The
sound
better. I hear you loud and clear.
I don't know what that's about. I think they hate me until I bring the co-host on. I think that's what it is. So, okay, well, as long as it's better, I appreciate that. Danielle, you look ravishing as always. How you been? What's been going on?
Everything is good. You know, like I tell people, we are good, and I am blessed. I'm happy that I was able to get up today because some people didn't. And we look around the country and I see all the different things that are happening, and you know, I can't complain about too much. Yeah, I can't open
No. Yes, I agree with you 100%. Every day I just say God is good and that I'm going to ride this tidal wave out just like everybody else.
Yeah, we got to ride the waves.
Yes. Well, look, Danielle, I want to talk real quick about the fact that our current president this past weekend had that rally in Las Vegas, had all those people in that center, very little social distancing, very few people with masks on. And here you are, a first responder and a disaster spokesperson. And I'm so conflicted as an everyday person. I don't know what to do. Should I wear my mask? Should I not wear my mask? And I know you're not Dr. Fauci, but what do you think?
Well, it's really interesting because you do have people who are gathering, and we have seen where after from these gatherings, people do have COVID. But then we have seen people gathering. So right after George Floyd and a lot of the protests, we were expecting disaster emergency managers. We were expecting to see several people and our numbers spike after the protests and after the riots, but we didn't see that. Even we are 2 weeks out from the March on Washington. So I actually was there Thursday, Friday, and for the March on Washington, and we haven't seen any big numbers that the media is picking up from that. So it's really strange. We have seen numbers from the surges, the motorcycle, we saw.
Yes.
So we have, the last number that I heard, which was a while ago, was about 30 something. So it's a bit strange because we do see people gathering, Now, whether those people, when they gather, they are being smart. So when I was at the March on Washington, the 57th anniversary of Martin Luther King, I have a dream speech. When we were there, we were gathering, but as we went in, they were taking your temperature. They were taking your temperature. They were handing out masks. They were handing out gloves. They were handing out sanitizer.
Okay.
Who is orchestrating this? And how can I get on board? This is like, oh, you guys are definitely ready. But so it depends if those individuals, if you wear a mask or not. But we don't have a vaccine. And it's like, where are we going with this? We know that people are dying. We know that people are getting it. I saw Dr. Fauci put out or someone reposted and say, this is a virus. You know, people will get this again, like chickenpox, and then you have shingles later, or this is herpes. That's a virus. So, and this is a virus. So what? The jury is still out. We're seeing people who have COVID. They were diagnosed with COVID, and then they tested positive again. So yeah, you're like, wait a minute. So someone else is testing positive again for COVID. I actually know someone who was in a long-term care facility, nursing home, and the individual, he tested positive. He didn't have it before he went in, but he tested positive. So he got it obviously from the staff or whomever.
Yeah.
Because if you're in a nurse home, you're not going anywhere. So it had to be. And
you can't have any visitors. You cannot. I know people who are still doing the window visit. Like, people are telling me that if their parents are on the first floor of a nursing home, that's a godsend. Because think about people that might be on the second and third floor. Those people can't see their family members at all unless they go to the window and look out, you know?
Yeah, and that's what some people have had to do. But yeah, being on the first floor, me being an emergency manager, like, okay, yeah, you're on the first floor, you can get out safely. The other thing is, it's important to stay up to date on what's going on, because as soon as I found out, and this was a few months ago, as soon as I found out that Illinois was allowing the nursing homes, I called the nursing home. They said, well, we don't know anything about it. I said, let me send you the policy, the memo that came from Dr. Zike's office from the Illinois Department of Public Health. I sent that to him, emailed it to him on a Saturday, and on Monday they were allowing people to visit. So sometimes you have to educate other people, because they're like, we don't know anything about it. No, let me send you the policy. Let me see. So just stay up to date and see what's really going on. Because sometimes they're overwhelmed, and they may not know that policy has changed, or we're in phase 3, we're in phase 4, and what you can do.
Danielle, we do have a question from one of our viewers. She wants to know, what does airborne mean? What is the definition of something that's airborne?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So if you remember, we're really in this now. So we watched the movie Outbreak. We watched the movie Outbreak, and if you remember in that scene, they were in a movie theater, and the people start coughing. And so airborne is basically when somebody coughs, that's that droplets. So sometimes, when this is, kind of gross, but when somebody sneezes, if somebody sneezes or it's a family member, you're like, oh my God, like that's what airborne is. And we can't. I mean, that's why anytime you see me post, everybody knows before COVID, when I was on the airplane, I had my mask on, and because I would just say, okay, they're coughing. So when that cough, we don't see those droplets. So that's what airborne means, that it's airborne. So it can come from me. I cough, it goes to you. And then now you can still, it's still live. It's still able to, it still make that transmission. Okay, very good. All right. Well, with that being said, I want to give the latest Illinois COVID-19 update numbers for the day. Illinois Department of Public Health has confirmed 1,373 new cases of coronavirus. We've had 5 additional fatalities, unfortunately, and that's really not bad compared to what our numbers have been on fatalities. Illinois health officials also confirmed that Monday, the total number of cases now is
262,744 since this pandemic began earlier this year, or about 6 months ago. And, this past Friday was September 11th, and Governor J.B. Pritzker, to commemorate the 19th anniversary of September 11th, he says this pandemic has killed more than 190,000 Americans, including 8,273 in our state, and nearly 3,000 people died in the attack on September 11th. So this is very serious. This is, you understand me? This is of a huge magnitude of seriousness, and I just don't think things are being taken as serious as they should. Because Danielle, I'm worried. A lot of people like to hell with the mask thing, where other people are like, mask up.
Yeah, and you have to mask up because we don't have a vaccine. We know people are dying, but I think that people who, and this is my opinion, I think the people, when we see them, when they don't have the mask on, they may not have anyone in their family that has died. They may not have that connection. They may not know a first responder who you're working with and you talk to, and then all of a sudden that person's gone. They may not have had someone. You have to go to a funeral, but you can't go to a funeral. So they just may not. My daughter had a rugby practice yesterday, and they have everything. This is the first practice now that they're going back to athletics. And I saw one of the teenage boys. He came up, no mask. He came up. I'm looking out in the field. He came up and shook one of the guys' hand, and then he came over and shook the other guy's hand. And my daughter went in, and when she came out, I said, "That boy with the white shirt, don't go over by him." And he didn't wash his hands. That's being a mom. That's just being
right.
That's pre-COVID and throughout COVID.
Right. Yes. Yeah. You kind of like me. I tell people I've been a germaphobe way before COVID. You get what I'm saying? I am the person who, again, carries his own toilet seat covers. I'm the person who, I've been that person always. So I'm kind of like you. This has nothing to do with COVID. You just see some people and be like, they ass look nasty. They look like they might be passing something. And as you said, steady high five and dapping people, talking and spitting. And I just, oh my God. Yeah. It gives me the willies.
And then now I think about it, she went to a sleepover, but it was I didn't post pictures on Facebook, but this was one of her friends. They wanted to get together for the birthday. So they actually were sleeping in tents. So we're in the suburbs. And I said, oh, they're not really sleeping in tents. And we pull up, they've got tents. There is so many tents out in the yard, in a big yard, obviously. And we got a little pop. But the parents didn't have on masks. And the other kids, keep your mask on. So, when I travel, this is my first time traveling since when I traveled in February and March, I knew that this was happening. And when I was at O'Hare Airport, I don't know if I told your listeners this, but at O'Hare Airport in February, I had a mask on. No one had a mask on. People were looking at me strange. And when I was on the train going back to Southern Illinois, back and forth for work, I had a mask on. And then now when I travel, now I have the mask, I have my face shield on, and then we actually have clothes that we will travel in. So
wow.
Yeah, so we'll get there. All right, everybody. So we disrobe, put those clothes in there, and that mask that we have in the airport is not the mask that I will take in. As soon as I come out of the airport, that mask is going to go into a bag, and that I only wear that. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So that's just a transmission thing. I'm not an infection control person, but it's out there.
Wow.
Oh, just somebody said.
One of our viewers said she was at Brookfield Zoo yesterday and it was packed. Well, here's the deal. A lot of places have been packed nowadays. The first time I've been to a shopping mall was yesterday. Hello to everybody I ran into in Oak Brook Mall. And here's the deal. It was packed. It was a beautiful Sunday. Oak Brook Mall to me is almost like going to an amusement park when you're walking around, looking at people, things like that. People were sitting, social distancing, enjoying the weather, parents, kids. I mean, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people feel as if, do we continue to live our lives as normal or do we not go out at all? But I felt wonderful and safe yesterday. It felt good to see other people, but that was my first time in a shopping mall pre-COVID, since the pandemic started. Isn't that something?
It is. Were you able to get into some stores? Because I know that I've gone out to the outlet mall in Aurora, and while I'm out there, I want to go to the Pandora or the Swarovski store. I can't remember, one of the jewelry stores, and it's small. It's a little boutique, and so I went to go in, and they're like, "Oh no, we're at capacity."
Right. Right. Well, okay. So here's the deal. Any of the big the stores that trendy and everybody loves. So okay, Starbucks had a line that was ridiculous, which I got that. Any of the stores that young kids like to go into, Zara, Forever 21, those type of stores definitely had lines. I actually was in Macy's, and Macy's I felt was great. They had hand sanitizer everywhere. People were not really stumbling all over each other. Shout out to Macy's Oak Brook for having a great selection of stuff. They actually had their Christmas decoration up as well yesterday, which kind of freaked me out. But yeah, no, I felt, safe. I really did. You can't use the dressing rooms or any of those things, but I felt okay in a mall yesterday. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's good. I'm glad that you felt safe. I think it's just going to be, it's just the new normal. People say, oh, we're going to get back to normal. It's the new normal. So I don't want to walk around with a mask on or just have to wipe everything down. But right now, that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now until we can get this down to not see deaths.
Yes.
We have so many deaths and then going up and then, and then peaking and going back and forth.
Look, this is so funny. Debbie says, instead of looking at animals, I was counting mash yesterday at the zoo. I kind of was sitting in the courtyard at Oak Brook Mall, and I too was looking to make sure people had them on. But here's the deal. I guess it's when we see, that's a lot of confusion too, Danielle, because I guess when you're not in a public place and you're walking around outside amongst people, and as long as you're moving, do you have to have the mask up, or what's the rule? Because I'm kind of like Debbie. I saw some people, but this is when I was in the courtyard of the mall, that was kind of going about their business, but they did put them up when they went in stores.
When they put them up in the store. So if you're outside, you're by yourself, that's okay. You want to have that mask on when you are coming interaction, when you are interacting with other people. You have that mask on.
Right.
I'm protecting you. I don't know what I have. I may. Is that what color?
The mask, it's a salmon. It has to coordinate. It always, I have to coordinate, darling. I have to coordinate. Yes. Okay. Yes. That comes from me. That comes from me wearing Granimals when I was a child. Remember Granimals?
We didn't. I was not fortunate enough to have Granimals.
You much younger than me, my love. But see, back in the Stone Age when I was a child, we wore Granimals.
I didn't have. I was an athlete, so a lot of money they spent on me was all for gymnastics and training.
Okay.
So I still have my costumes and my gymnastics, so it was well spent. But it definitely has to coordinate. But I love the fact that people are making sure, like, okay, are you wearing masks or not? Because I think it's in all, unless they've lowered the requirements, but all the states, they said you're supposed to have a mask on when you're in public places because you want to be around people, right. So they know they know that you're around people. So put your mask on.
Yeah, that is true. Susan Carlotta, she made a valid point. She said, sneezing season, mask on. That's so funny. My best friend and I were out someplace. You know who I'm talking about. And she had nerve enough to sneeze when we was in someplace. And I was like, if you don't come up out of here, little Rona, I said, come on. I said, you can have these people tossing us out the store. But it is sneezing season because I'm like that as well too, you know, with the season change and all of that. So I just tell people, be careful when people be looking. Huh?
Here's the problem: you can't be sick now. So anytime anytime someone sneezes, coughs, you feel well, you think you have. I don't know. For me, I don't know if maybe ask some of the listeners, but I know that anytime I wake up in the middle of the night, and when I woke up, it was the fan, and I was coughing. But it's like I'm coughing and I'm sneezing. But I sneezed before the coronavirus. But it's that fear. It's that fear. And so now what do we have? All right, so we have this virus that's here, right? We have the coronavirus. But Debbie said, or Susan said, it's sneezing season. That's right. It's flu season. So it's the fall. So now we coming up to flu season. So we got coronavirus and we got flu season. So, these two things, are we ready? Are we ready for this?
Well,
and then
that's amazing, because that's a question somebody posted on my other page. Can you get COVID and the flu at the same time?
We'll find out. Like I said, I am not infectious disease. Dr. Fauci, I'm sure he will tell us all about it. And I don't know those strands. No one knew that. No one knew that we were going to be having this 100 years later. Like, you got the Spanish flu. Yeah, you're fine. You don't need to do this. I remember people saying, "Oh no, you don't need to have a mask." If you remember, I posted. I said, "We're ready." We had our mask and everything, but this was right before everything shut down. And it's like, okay, we really do need these masks, and we have to be careful, washing our hands, taking temperature. Anytime I don't have visitors, but when they do come to the house, I will have, or my daughter's friends, I will scan. I will scan them. I have the forehead. Okay, your temperature, just like when you go into any place else, they take your temperature, and I take people's temperature. Okay, all right, you can. Even I feel bad, but I've had 2 friends come over after we had finished eating. We're eating. I still got the face shield on, and then after I put the mask on, because I don't know about their whereabouts. Like, I know that, but some people are out so much. It's really hard for me, because, as I talked about it, culturally, we are out. You saw how many people in Oak Brook Mall, and I was going to text you, "Hey, why don't you come through?"
Right. Right.
I'll catch them next year. So you're in Oak Brook. I'm running to Oak Brook. I was like,
right.
The Rona's not going to let me do that. So I mean, we'd like, "Oh, we're going up," but I don't know who people have been around. So I just, it's awful, but this is, where we are. I don't know if everyone lives like that, but people are getting out. Well, we got to make sure we get into flu season. And if we have a second wave, that we are preparing, and we make sure that we are just staying aware of our surroundings, staying aware of our surroundings, and not becoming lax, not becoming lazy. I saw somebody put Clorox wipes, and just making sure that you are cleaning and wiping.
Right. Well, that's kind of what I was saying. In my man bag, I carry a small spray bottle of Clorox cleanser. I have a white cotton towel. I keep that because you can always wipe. You can see where it's dirty, all of that. I keep gloves. I keep toilet seat covers. I take my own straw. I have a little metal compact straw that can extend. Hand sanitizer, alcohol wipes. What else do I carry? I carry extra masks. So if somebody needs one, or if I need one or forget to have my cloth mask, I carry Band-Aids. I just any and everything. You taught me well. You taught me well, because you just never know. You just, and you need to stay prepared.
That's also the flight attendant in you as well. But you have your essential things. But let's go a step further. We talked. We have these items, but what happens when somebody knocks on your door? And we've got the fires in Oregon, and we got the fires in California. So we have that. That's going to keep you safe. But we got to go a little bit a step further, because what if somebody knocks on your door and says you got 5 minutes, or it's time to go now? Then
Yeah. So we'll address that later on in the show. You'll teach us what we need to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right.
Because we got to be ready.
All right. Later on in the show, Danielle will teach us all what we need to do and what we need to know to have that kit ready at your door. Okay. All right. We want to acknowledge the passing of a Chicago activist, journalist, radio talk show host, just all around great guy. Mr. Mark Allen passed away this weekend at the age of 58. And last year on September 11th, I actually was a guest on Mark Allen's show. And he just was such a great guy. Actually, somebody had mixed up what time I was supposed to be there. I had gotten there so early and it wasn't till later on that afternoon. Mark was just such a gracious host. Food, the conversation was great. It just really felt like I was sitting there with somebody I grew up with. And I just want to send my deepest condolences to his sister, his brother, and the entire Allen family. Just really a great guy, connected with Operation Push for many years, and just a true lover of the Black race and just humanity, just humanity as a whole. And so we will deeply miss Mr. Mark Allen. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. Yeah, great guy, really a great guy. Well, yesterday, social media was all abuzz. It was all about two 76-year-old divas that were battling it out yesterday. You've had to have been under a rock if you did not hear about Miss Gladys Knight and Miss Patti LaBelle's battle. It was not about a fight. It was about divahood last night. Danielle, did you get a chance to see it, or what did you think about all of it?
I got a chance to see the clips, like people posting clips, and I was living through everybody else. But it's just wonderful just to see those two legends, and they're simply beautiful. They just are simply beautiful, and then the camaraderie, and you look at them, you go, that's no matter what gender you are, you're just like, that's what I want. And you have this feeling like that's my girl. I want you to be my grandmother. I want you. That's my mom. It's just that regal. That's what I aspire to do when I see that. What like them and we lost Diane Carroll, and it's just like when I look at it like that, you're just like, oh, how can I be that? Like it just drips off of them like the royalty and just the class. And they're just so. Yesterday was a class act.
Well, let me tell you, that sequin suit that Gladys Knight had on, I'm sure it was, of the top quality. I'm sure somebody is now trying to manufacture that suit, copy that suit, because I know a million people that want Gladys Knight's suit from last night. And that's kind of funny, Danielle. You said no matter what gender you are, them ladies last night made you feel like that's what I want to be. Well, look, I want to be that with Gladys Knight's suit on. You understand me? Because she was sharp, and Patty too. They both were. Yes.
We know Billy Porter will have that in next week. Billy Porter will have that on next week, and he will, give homage to the legends. But
yes, he will.
He has.
yes, I agree. But congratulations to both ladies. It was outstanding. Yeah. And then the cherry on top last night was Miss Dionne Warwick, who will be 80 years old this year. Dionne came out and gave you Dionne. They sang, that's what friends are for, and sisters doing. I mean, it was so classy. And I just think our younger generation needs to see that. You and I know that these women are class, but a lot of our young people, Patti LaBelle, who is that? Or Gladys Knight, that's grandma's music. But really, those ladies, they really sang the soundtrack of my life, both of them,
It's amazing because after generations, you kind of lose something. So I'm hoping that we saw Gen X's and millennials watching that, because when you see that, it is class, and it's different from what you see today. Mm-hmm. You talk about her outfit, and her voice. You hear the voice, and you hear what she had on, and that was that. That's her gift. That's who she is, and it's actually a gift. It's just not something that's just okay. You're just taking pictures of yourself. Why?
Right. Right.
No,
I hate to put this out there, but somebody needs to sit down and do an interview with these four ladies on stage, and I'm gonna tell you who they need to have. They need to have the boss, Miss Ross. They need to have Gladys Knight. They need to have Patti LaBelle and Miss Dionne Warwick. And I'm trying to think, is there another woman of their age range that's still around that we listen to like that? I'm sure there is, but just talk to these women about, their being mothers, being wives, just life. I mean, like we associate Patty and Gladys with great food. I mean, I love the memes that everybody was like, honey, yesterday was chicken and dressing, greens, and candy yam Sunday. What a way to start fall off. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to just see these women talking, from the just being around Diana Ross's family and her interacting and seeing how she interacts with her family. I think that's the most beautiful thing ever. And that's what I'm more curious about than anything,
I love it. And I can't remember. I don't watch television too much, but I remember seeing it was an award show, and it was Diana Ross's daughter, the what's her name? Who was on Blackish? I can't remember.
Tracy Ellis Ross.
So Tracy Ross, she was hosting, and then she had all these changes. Changes, and then all of a sudden, she actually she put a wig on or something, and she had you could tell that she was Diana Ross. She was her mother.
Right.
And I lost it, but the audience, I don't know if they got it or not, or there's oh, okay. But when she had on Beyonce or she had somebody else when she was doing them, they went crazy. Yeah. But it was not. I was like, wait a minute. All these young ladies couldn't do this without her mother. So I just love it. She had the wig on, and she had the big spread, and she just did the swirls. I was like, oh my God, you're your mom. It's awesome. But people appreciate it. I just had a R&B on Friday with a millennial, and we listened to 100 songs. So I was oh, come on, listen to this song. So we listened to 100 songs on this playlist, and every one of them, I said, oh yeah, this song. She goes, oh, this person did this song. I go, no, this person did this song first, and then so all of these songs they didn't know. I was like, oh, wait a minute. So we do have to go back and reteach and educate them. Because I said to my daughter, I said, yeah, Karate Kid. And I was talking about Karate Kid that we saw, in the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the one with Jaden Smith? I said,
no boo-boos. That's not the one. That's not the one. Yes. Yeah, I know. And see, that's what I'm talking about. We've got to keep these generations going, but we've got to educate them about what the past was all about. You know what I'm saying? You're right. You did a great job with that. You really did. All right. Well, I think both of our guests are backstage in the green room. We'll bring them up in just a couple of seconds. We want to remind, first of all, welcome to the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. Glad to be here with you guys. I'm here Monday through Thursday night from 7 until we get tired. That's how it works, but it's usually 8:30, 9 o'clock, depending on what the show is all about. Tonight's show is all about preparedness. September is Preparedness Month. As you guys all know, right now we're experiencing a pandemic. On the West Coast, there are fires burning out of control. In the South, there's storms. And Danielle, what is so mind-boggling to me is all of this is of biblical proportion when you really think about it. A pandemic, the West Coast is burning. California and Oregon, the southern states are preparing, the coastal states are preparing for another storm. And so this is all just mind-blowing in many different ways, It is.
It's mind-blowing. And as we're here in September, because it Preparedness Month. So we had 9/11, and then people were trying to recover from that, right? And then so this is 100 years. We had Spanish flu. Now we have this pandemic. Mm-hmm. Now, we have to social distance. But you look at the individuals who are in with these wildfires, people who had to evacuate. Now, where are they going? So if you have to go to a shelter, how are you how are you socially distancing?
Right.
And then we also want to talk about those individuals, some big homes, and you have the resources to recover. But many people are tapped out. Many people of color were tapped out financially before this pandemic. So now, now we have storms that are coming to Louisiana as well as Mississippi. So now we have to really make sure that we are keeping people who don't have the means that you and I have, and we have to make sure that we do better and make sure that, okay, well, what is happening? How can we be better prepared? How can we put policies in place to make sure that grandma who was living by herself, she may not be paying the bill, but how can we protect them and during this pandemic and during if they have to.
Okay, well, with that being said, Danielle, I want to move on to our next segment. And actually, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for securing our two guests this evening. We're going to talk about the fact of emergency management and the need for diversity. And Danielle, you and I have been knowing each other forever, and I've always looked up to you as a shero, my sister, but I did not know that emergency management was maybe lacking a little color, as we would say on this show, a little, maybe more women can be involved. Maybe more people that are Black and brown can be involved. Correct?
Absolutely. And I am a person of color. So I'm an African-American woman with a little bit of Puerto Rican. And I have, been doing this for some time. And then I realized once our next guest, Chauncey Willis, she was able to kind of show me the light, and she started telling me the numbers, and she'll share with us the importance of it. Oh,
okay.
We're like, wait a minute, we're looking at each other across the room like it's only us.
Okay.
But yeah. So
and we also have Mr. Richards waiting back in the green room. Can you tell us a little bit about him as well too?
I'm going to actually have him introduce himself, because when we connected through Chauncey, and when he sent his bio, I said, "Oh, Dr. Willis." I said,
I saw we have to upgrade. We do. Well, let me bring him in.
Bring him in.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring our guest in tonight. Please welcome to the Real Chat Daddy Show two people who are experts in emergency management, and they're trying to improve how we are seen and provide us a lot of opportunity. Well, Miss Willis, good evening. How are you?
Good.
Good to see you. Wonderful. Let's pop you in here, over here. It's a pleasure to have you here this evening. And then let's bring in, you said Dr. Richards. Let's bring him in as well. Good evening, Doctor. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Y'all are manifesting here. Thank you.
Well,
I'm working on it.
Well, on this show, that's what we do. We prophesize on this show too. Yes. Good to see you both.
Welcome to the show. And I want to just kind of let our listeners know what emergency management is. And these two individuals that we have, Chauncey as well as Antoine, these are the people that we look up to and who are kind of behind the scenes. And people see me as a paramedic, and they see me coming right away. But then they're the people who are actually putting policy in place, and the people who are behind the scenes when you if you're in Florida, and I think you guys are both in Florida. I know Chauncey was a emergency manager in Florida, so she was one of the people. If this hurricane is coming, she's on the ground. She's on the phone with people, making sure that people are safe. So, Chauncey, I'm gonna toss it to you. If you can just tell us a brief about you, and then we'll toss it over.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Can you hear me okay?
We can. It's a pleasure to have you here. Go right ahead.
Oh, it's such a delight to be here. Thank you. And I'm so interested in learning more about you and more about this show. It's a wonderful opportunity. As Danielle said, I've been in emergency management for quite a while, about 21 years. and I've seen many things, and have really experienced a lot of disasters firsthand. We've been deployed and had to manage a lot of disasters and major events. Unfortunately, right before COVID-19 occurred, we created the Institute for Diversity and Inclusion in Emergency Management, and I'm the CEO. So I've been doing that full time now for about a year, and really enjoying it. So I'm glad that we're talking about hurricane season and preparedness, and what we can do to ensure that everyone is safe.
Very good. Boy, I have so many questions. I'm just going to wait, listen to your presentations, because I can just only imagine being the first on the scene for any type of horrific situation, so I can only imagine it takes a lot. All right, Danielle, this is your bus. Keep driving it.
All right. Well, we will toss it over to you, Dr. Richards.
Good evening, sir.
So my name is Antoine Richards, and I'm a senior advisor with the Institute for Diversity, Inclusion, and Emergency Management. My background is actually public health. So I have my master's in public health from Morehouse School of Medicine, and took a public health preparedness course that really drove me into the direction of emergency management. And I've been researching it ever since. So research is a really big kind of important thing of mine. But one of the things that, I've noticed to this effect is that when we go to a lot of these different conferences or these events in emergency management, there's very few of us in the room. So when this opportunity came around, it was really uplifting for me to really get involved and say, you know what, I have a lot of research experience. I've enjoyed policy as a concentration in public health. And I think that we can really start to make some things happen. So I've really had a lot of opportunity to work with a lot of different working groups and a lot of different people doing research and projects in emergency management. And I'm glad to see it again manifest into this.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being here. And you said you took this one course, and it just kind of springboard and opened up so much for you. What you're doing research, and that's what's so important about the organization that you guys have. But what we see on television, when a disaster happens, we don't see the three of us as emergency managers. Right? We don't see that. Whether it's at the local. Here in Illinois, we do. So we love Dr. Zike, because she gets on every day and gives us the COVID numbers. And but we don't usually see people of color in that media light saying that, okay, a hurricane is coming, a snowstorm is coming. And that is also represented in the policies that are being made. And tell us a little bit more about that, and I'll toss it to our guests.
Well, Antoine, are you going to take that one? If it's talking about health equity?
Yeah, sure. So I think the thing that we look at with a lot of the policies are that the policies don't necessarily, they're not catered for vulnerable populations or marginalized populations. When you look at kind of even the history of the Constitution, all men are created equal. That didn't apply to women. That didn't apply to, African Americans. That didn't apply to minorities. Mm-hmm. So every policy that has come herein and thereafter, even down to emergency management, has kind of been built upon that foundation. And what we start to see with that is different disparities and issues in health. We're starting to see health equity issues that have been ongoing. And one of the things that COVID has really pointed out now is that, hey, these disparities are present and they're glaringly present. But this isn't anything new. This is, things that have been discussed through time. And it's a lot of it, built into the policies that we're seeing. So even recently, Chauncey did a congressional testimony, and I had a chance to work on some of the research for that. And I said, just for fun, my research brain, let me go and look at all of the major disaster policies like the Stafford Act and see if any of them mention equity or diversity or inclusion. And across all of the policies, none of them did. That's 2 pages of content and policy. None of them did. I think maybe one mentioned equity, but that was in terms of housing, as in, you can use your equity towards insurance or something like that, but not as far as people go. Mm-hmm. I just started to think about a lot of those things, and that really influenced, how I look at policy and even practice now. Even with what happened with Hurricane Laura, to my knowledge, I don't think FEMA's there yet.
No,
Mhm.
they're not.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to think about it because FEMA wasn't there when Katrina happened, and both of these are predominantly Black communities. So now I'm like, well, how many other states have waited to declare a state of emergency when it was Black communities involved?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and other disasters, they declare it before the disaster hit. They have those resources there and ready. So those are things I try to think about when we start to look at research and policy and how we can improve those moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about some of the policies. And I know going back to FEMA, a lot of times when I was on the ground, that we'd have a elected official say, okay, well we need FEMA, and so we educate our audience. A lot of times, some of those elected officials who are not maybe people of color, they in the Constitution, FEMA just can't come into the state. So sometimes you'll have those elected officials that will not ask for help until it gets really bad. So and then it's still and it's already bad for people of color. So if you can give us an idea of a policy for that you have seen that's not equal, or you see a lot of people who aren't able to recover as well. Kind of tell us, maybe give the listeners an idea of a policy.
There are so many. There are so many inequitable policies, they would be difficult to name all of them.
Wow.
Emergency management, the field, as you mentioned, is 82%, is led by 82% white males. So a lot of the policies that are developed are created by people who have no connection with the communities they're actually creating policy for. So what happens is there's a huge disconnect, and also with that disconnect, you have a group of predominantly white leaders creating policies that can harm communities of color. And that's what you're seeing right now in Louisiana and in other areas where communities of color have a delayed recovery, delayed response time, delayed recovery, and delayed in just about every area. There are parts of New Orleans that were post-Katrina that were fully recovered in about 9 months. You go to there now, there are still parts in the African-American communities that have not recovered. And here we are about 15 years later. So that's an understanding of the policies. There's one policy in particular that I'm really focused on now, and that's the post-disaster inspections, the inspections that occur. And what we're looking at really is the amount or funding that is given per household. Now, when houses are located in white neighborhoods or more affluent areas, they receive more funding. In Black neighborhoods or in less affluent neighborhoods, I should say, they receive a significant amount of decreased funding. And it's all aligned with their status, economic status, their race, and all of these factors that should not really factor into how you recover. So you'll have white households that are receiving over $100,000 more, and they're able to rebuild or move. And you have African-American households, Black and brown communities that are receiving $6,000, and if you come by 2 years later, they're still going to have a blue tarp on their roof.
Right. And so that it just doesn't balance out. And so so what I hear you saying is that some of these communities are not, because they may not have the $1 million homes, they are not getting the money that someplace else in Louisiana may have.
Well, it really comes down to redlining. And redlining is where communities of color were placed in less desirable areas, sometimes environmental hazards, sometimes near chemical plants and things like that. And so the communities are considered less desirable. And you know how in real estate they say location, location, location. Well, that factors in disaster. So if you couldn't afford to go to a community that, or if you were denied a loan for a community that was not in a hazardous area, you end up in a redlined area. And now you have a disaster and you're going to have it's much more challenging to recover because the funding, the recovery funding is not going to allow an equitable recovery for your household.
Wow, wow. Let me, if I could chime in for just a minute. This conversation is just so fascinating. On a couple of my social media pages, I applaud all of you all as just great guests tonight. But what can we as everyday people, let's say a lot of people are making that pivot right now for a new career, something else to do. You three are really just a shining example of African Americans doing the damn thing. How can people, at least, what direction would you send them in? Should they, maybe go to school to become EMTs? Should they go to school for research? Where should people that may want to help go and start learning how to follow in you all's footsteps?
Well, I will start off that as in our community, most of us are already doing this work anyway. So we are already being resourceful. We know where to get things. So that's that one person in the neighborhood who knows, okay, they know where to get stuff from. They're resourceful. And emergency management doesn't mean that you need to be on an ambulance like I was. Emergency management also is the research part of it. So for me, I would say if they want to get into the field, I can give resources, but it's really important to know your elected officials and to know what you are, no matter where you live, whether you're in Chicago or Atlanta or the suburbs, to know who is showing up at your door, because there are many times where people had a hurricane or they had a tornado and they didn't know that they may not be getting the proper response from fire department because they were maybe in an unincorporated area. So first, I would want to say, oh, well, fire department's coming to get me. Well, no, or we have snowstorms here. No, they're not shoveling that snow because you don't live in Chicago. You may live across the street in Stickney, for example. So I would say how to get into it is to make sure that you reach out to people like us, and we're bringing people on, because there's so many things. You can do research, you can do communications, you can actually be out in the field, logistics, because when you have an operation, they will tell you, our guests will tell you that it's just not one thing. These are several people part of this response.
Mm-hmm. All right, anybody else want to chime in on this?
Yeah, I can definitely chime in. I think one of the things that's really important is to not to take away from what you do or where you are. Emergency management and the impacts of disasters are so multidisciplinary. So for me, I think of it as if you're evacuated, you don't have access to get dialysis every day like you need, and then you might die from that. That's a public health issue that they don't think about in disasters. Disasters are engineering issues. They are sociological issues. They are first responder issues. There are multiple different issues. So I encourage a lot of people that are interested in getting into it to actually look at where they are and see how they can integrate what they do and their knowledge, skills, and abilities within the field. And that's how you make a really good impact or a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
I would agree with that. Mm-hmm. My background is in psychology.
Psychology
and business. Mm-hmm. And I am fascinated by human behavior. I've always wanted to know why people do what they do, what makes them tick, why they make that decision.
You and me both. Right. I'm like, now what made that fool just do what that fool just did?
Right, exactly. Because you want to know, what was your thought in doing that? Why did you do that? So yeah, my background is in psychology and it's really helped in emergency management. And I'm gonna tell you something, we need more emergency managers of color. And that's why we have the Institute for Diversity and Inclusion in Emergency Management, IDEM. We have it because we don't have enough people that are diverse and have diverse backgrounds, races, gender, and everything else. We need diversity in every form within emergency management. And the prototype has been a retired law enforcement or retired military vet. And what we've seen is that we need more people who have compassion, who can express empathy and use empathetic listening. So the prototype really needs to be someone who cares about people. And whatever gifts, skills, talents that you have, you bring those to the table, and it will be used in emergency management. So, that's the thing. Bring what you have, and most importantly, have compassion.
How can people connect with your organization if they so choose? I'm sure there's a process they have to go through, but how would they be able to connect?
We are definitely online at i-diem.org. Once again, that's i-diem.org. And we are available to provide information. And as Dr. Richards said, we provide a lot of input and commentary on different policy issues as well. And we're a data-driven organization. So we're going to change the dynamics using research and data, because some of that is needed to change minds and perceptions.
I couldn't agree more. Danielle, what else you got for us with the guest tonight? Look, I feel like I've been to Harvard tonight.
You've been to Harvard, and you will be safe.
Right. I feel like I've been to Harvard, and I should drink with my pinky out.
So one thing that our guests can attest to is, and I mentioned this to him last week, when you have emergency management and when people are looking, some people don't have the empathy or compassion. I see one of our guests put that there. But what's really important is when someone is seeking, if it is a Latino or if it's tribal or if it is Jewish, what happens is then people seek out and get a subject matter expert. However, when it's Black, you don't really seek subject matter experts. So people don't understand the connectivity and the culture. Whereas when you have an elderly grandmother, that's your community. That is everything. And that is, I mean, we all have grandmas. We just finished talking about the ladies. That's very important, and to be able to express to people that our culture is very important. And in disasters, we may not have that disaster kit, or it may not be able to have that extra fund because we may be focused on other things. Health. We may be focused on our family, and this is what's important. So I think our guests can definitely speak more about that. But I love what they're doing, and it's data driven. They have the numbers, and I am not a research person. I'm on the grounds and I talk. So I just say, okay, what do you guys need? And tell that happened. Where'd you find, and they find all these things. So if you guys can maybe toss out some numbers, I know that Chauncey, you mentioned some numbers earlier in the year when we talked, and maybe you, Dr. Richards, you can get some numbers, but I would just love to maybe have our audience hear some numbers of in disasters and emergencies.
Well, I can tell you something I was just thinking about while you were speaking. Out of the 51 states and territories in the United States, only 3 of the state emergency managers are people of color.
That's right.
Yes, only 3.
African American, right? Dr. Wilson.
Wisconsin, Virginia, and Tennessee. So what I would suggest everyone that's listening, when it comes to any type of emergency, whether it's a heat emergency, wildfire emergency, hurricane, tornado, flooding, really do your best to take care of not only yourself, your family, but also your community. We need more community cohesion. We need to depend on the government a lot less, because as we have seen, the government is not always providing an effective strategy.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yes.
So take care of each other. Our family is out of Mississippi. A lot of our relatives are in Chicago. That great migration that happened. And, one of the things that I remember is when we killed a hog in the country, we shared it with everyone in the community. So whatever resources we have, we tend to tell people to purchase preparedness, and that's really not the thing that we should promote as much as being prepared in your mind and in your community, helping one another, being prepared to assist, and also being prepared to survive. So,
Sir, you want to add something to this as well, Mr. Richards?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different things you could really look at. Chauncey, definitely put out that glaring, kind of that glaring fact. That's always a go-to. Like, wow, shocker. Like, is that really only 3? But I mean, even when you look at it from a research perspective, a lot of the leading disaster research institutes are led by, predominantly white males as well.
Mhm.
I believe out of all the disaster research institutions, there's only maybe 18 of color, 5 of which are Black. And that's across the United States and its territory. So you think of all the colleges and all the universities and all of the disaster management programs and research institutes, and you only have 18 of color, 5 that are Black. And then you begin to start thinking about the funding that goes on, the large grants, the NIH funding, the things that fund a lot of disaster research, and you think about where they're going. So if we get, a $5 million grant that are all going to predominantly white schools, or they're missing HBCUs and MSIs, then we lose a lot of the opportunity for, again, the community cohesion, the partnerships, and the funding.
Mhm.
And even those, the language in those miss out on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I could kind of go on and on about that. But it's definitely important. So those are things to look at, that even academically and practically, there's a huge disparity there.
Mhm.
And one of
Wow.
the things I learned from Dr. Richards, from Antoine, is that our research is set on the white male physiology. So a lot of the research that goes on in the United States is not really intended or tempered for anyone else's physiology except for the white males.
Yep. Yep.
And so the default setting for research, for policy, for even home ownership, for loans, everything is set at white.
Right.
And you see that with COVID. Everything that they show with disparities, they'll say, non-Hispanic Black versus white males, deaths of Blacks versus white males, or versus white, that's always kind of the comparison group. And the important thing to realize about that is that doesn't do anything for vulnerability, because there's already inequitable access there. So when you compare us to that, then you're already creating or kind of infiltrating that distance that's already there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what I would encourage our audience to do is, you can call 911, so you know who your fire department or your police is. Go a step further and find out who your local emergency management is. So you find out that wherever you live in Chicago, so who is that emergency management? And then you got to go out. Where's your county emergency management? And then you find out who your state emergency manager is. So, and then you kind of start to see that.
Ma'am, in my neighborhood, we just have a hard time getting the damn police to come, period. And now you telling me I need to find out who honey, where would I find these people? But I get it.
That's what you have me for, so we can go.
Just trying to we just trying to get the popo to come for the gunshots.
That was a song with KRS-One, wasn't it? Where the police show up.
Right. I'm like, she got me researching who my other people are. Girl, I just want the cops to come. I just want them to come when I call them.
But you want to know who is your emergency manager. You want to know whatever county you are in. So you can be in Sangamon, or you can be in Georgia, Macon County. You put in Macon County emergency manager, and it will come up. You on Facebook, y'all on Facebook, Twitter. Take 3 minutes and find out who your local emergency manager is.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, in closing, I'm gonna give you guys each something that you want to say, whether it's to encourage people during this pandemic, whether it's to encourage people to think about going into this career field, whatever it is that you want everybody to know. This is you all's shining moment. And since we have the recent Dr. Richards here, we'll let him go first. Go right ahead, sir.
I think one of the things I always want to kind of leave off with is that policy works in what they call different streams. So there's a convergence of streams in a lot of ways. And right now we're seeing a pandemic, we're seeing civil unrest, and we're seeing a disaster season, and it's all happening at once. And while it may seem that, there's a lot going on, a lot of things to be concerned about, I also encourage you to look at this as an opportunity for change. It's very rare that we have 3 things that are totally unknown hit us at once. And it's opening the door for policy, it's opening the door for advocacy, and it's opening the door for change. And it's a wonderful time to get involved and actually say, you know what, all the bad things aside, this is an opportunity to make something good happen from it. And they're a little more susceptible to it right now, be it guilt money, which you're seeing from, the NFL and all of that, to all of these organizations talking about Black Lives Matter. This is a good time to take advantage of that.
Very good. That was great. I love it. Miss Willis, what would you like to say in closing to everybody?
Well, I would just like to say thank you so much for allowing us to take this time to spend with you and talk about something that is near and dear to our hearts. But also thank you for supporting our organization, the Institute for Diversity and Inclusion in Emergency Management.
Yep, it's across the bottom of the screen. I got it across the bottom.
I saw that. I see it. Thank you. Our newest campaign will be the Equity Revolution. And we want everyone to support it not only with liking it and supporting it, on the different social media sites, but also donate to the organization. As many of you know, our organization is a nonprofit, and many nonprofits led by people of color do not receive funding. And that's why you see larger nonprofits led by people who are not of color doing so well. So support our nonprofits that are led by people of color and women, so that we can stay around to do the good work that needs to be done and continue the good fight. Thank you.
I love it. Great job. Well, here's the deal. Whether Danielle is here or not, you both can always come back to the show. You did an outstanding job. Dr. Richards, when you get that degree, make sure I get a cut of that, since we prophesized that on the show. Right. Just make look, if nothing else, just send me a screenshot saying I got it. See, we prophesize on this.
We might even just give me 5 minutes on the show. We can have a party, a hallelujah, and all of
that. Yes. That's what we do. We love when people excel on this show. We're not player haters on this show. We congratulate us. So yes, we're very excited. You both were just outstanding. Danielle, great guest. Anything you want to say in closing to our guest?
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate the work that you do behind the scenes that so many people don't realize that you do. And I just want to have you guys here for Preparedness Month and keep on keeping people safe.
Will do.
And thank you so much.
Oh, God bless you both. Thanks for being here and continue to keep up with the show. All right. This was a great job. That was excellent, Danielle. You did an excellent job on that. I felt that was good. That was excellent. That was.
Yeah.
Huh?
You felt safe?
Oh, I felt like I was being swaddled. I felt like I was in the bosom of Abraham. I did. It was just wonderful. It was just amazing. Yeah.
You don't have to worry about anything with the three of us around.
I can't. I would love to go travel with you three, right? Because I'm accident prone. So you three would be perfect. They would be just great. So I appreciate that. I really do. Well, for those of you all that are just joining us, welcome to the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy, and I'm just so glad to be here with you guys. It's a beautiful Monday evening. For those of you all that are in the Chicagoland area, we're supposed to have really great temperatures this week. It's going to be in the upper 70s. Possibly low 80s. And so that still gives us a little more time to get out and enjoy ourselves. But we want to remind everyone that we're still in the midst of a global pandemic. You guys know what the rules are. Wear your mask. Danielle, do you have your mask?
Yes, I have a mask.
See, wear your mask. There you go. And with me, I have to color coordinate. So there we go. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You so fabulous. I'm sure you got one somewhere. Right. Oh Lord, honey. That's not purse size. I was talking about one you could kind of fold up and put in your purse. Never mind. You got sci-fi mask. Okay. Yeah, I don't want you messing up your outfit. Okay. We also want to remind you guys to sanitize, hand sanitizer. I just got me a new stock of hand sanitizer today. And that's why I don't get manicures anymore, because it's tearing up my hands. Yes, hand sanitizer. Yes, make sure you do that. Social distance. That's very important. Don't be all up on me. I ain't gonna be all up on you. I know it's almost cuddling season and y'all want some boo things, but remember, no booty calls until we're at level 6. Level 6. The governor don't know that yet. And so I'm trying to get through to the governor so that when we do get to level 6, he'll invite me to be able to tell everybody it's okay to have a booty call again. I know you married. Don't worry about it. It's those of us that desire booty calls.
You know what? He would have the flu before this. Right. When he had the flu, I make him put a mask on. I put a mask on. I didn't want to get sick. Look.
Wow. Yeah, because I mean, you both are first responders. You know what I'm saying?
We both have a mask on. We like, okay,
Yes. Well, coming up on tomorrow night's show, we're going down to Chocalisa, Mississippi. For those of you all that have been watching the hit show on Stars, P-Valley, tomorrow night we're going to talk about P-Valley. We have some people who love P-Valley and other people who are not pleased with P-Valley. So we're going to have a very interesting conversation tomorrow night about P-Valley. And then today, the gentleman, Gilliam from Florida, was on the Tamron Hall show. As you guys all know, he was found in a hotel room in Miami, unconscious, naked, and laying in his own vomit at a same-sex orgy. And so today, Mr. Gilliam said on the Tamron Hall show that he is bisexual. And we just had this conversation with some women on Thursday on this show. But tomorrow night, we're going to talk about the pain and association of men not being able to live their true selves, and is bisexuality the cop out. And his wife did say she knew he was bisexual when she married him. So that's a whole nother can of worms as well too. You know, I guess power and fame would make you marry anything. I don't know. We'll talk about it tomorrow night. I don't know. So don't let me get, out of pocket. So our very special guest co-host tonight is not only my dear friend, she's like my sister. She's a paramedic, but she's also an emergency response media consultant and spokesperson. She is none other than the fabulous Miss Danielle Cortes DeVito. Whoop, whoop. What up, babe?
Hey.
Are you enjoying yourself, Danielle?
I am enjoying myself. I always enjoy myself. We have COVID, so if not, I would, be in the audience,
I know. Be in the studio with me. I know everybody. This is so interesting. Who knew this would be the way I would continue my career? And then, it kind of makes it easy because people can kind of be at home. I guarantee you most of the guests I talk to probably have nothing on below their belly button. Or is it just me as the host?
It's just you as the host, because I dress from top to.
Oh, okay. All right. Don't ever ask me to stand up.
Don't stand up. Turn the cameras off.
Yeah. I'd have to, if I stand up, I'd have to do something like this. Because matter of fact, I need to get my readiness kit for you. Hold on. Okay, here we go. That would be me if I turn the camera off. See? Did you see it?
No, I don't see anything.
I got to learn how to do that. Okay, edit avatar. Oh, stop my.
All right, I see me. You still there? Okay, did you pause yourself? All right, I think Art went to go get his preparedness kit. All right, so I'm going to co-host for Art, Chat Daddy Sims. Today we're talking about preparedness, and I believe Art went to go get his. I believe he went to go get his preparedness kit. So is he back yet? No, we don't have him, but that is okay. So tonight, there he is. He's coming back. There you go. Okay, he's got his preparedness kit. Yay! All right. So what do you got in this? I can't hear you. Technical difficulties.
All right. Let's see. Is that better?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, good. All right. So Danielle is here tonight to help us to prepare ourselves in the case of an emergency. And I know a lot of you all who are in the Chicagoland area might be like, well, we don't get brush fires. Well, we don't get tornadoes or hurricanes. We actually do get tornadoes. Keep in mind, it was 30 years ago, 2 weeks ago, that Plainfield, Illinois was destroyed. And you guys know Plainfield is just a 30-minute ride from Chicago, 40 minutes. So you just never know. And then, hell, with all this looting and rioting, you might need a prepared readiness kit. Or if your house catch on fire, it floods, like Danielle said, somebody could be bamming at my door right now. And, and so we don't know. So Danielle gave me this wonderful kit a couple of years ago. Danielle, tell us what we need to have, just everyday people, if we don't have a kit like this.
Yeah, so one of the first things you got to figure out is you have to evaluate yourself and your situation. So whether you have kids, whether you have a pet, whether you have elderly people in your life that you're responsible for. The other thing is, if someone did knock on your door and you needed to leave, you have this kit, but what are those essential things? So the first thing is, you're going to take your phone with you. You're going to take your phone, but you also need a phone charger, because that is our lifeline. Every time you turn around, we're always up. So in your kit, you want to make sure, if you can, and a lot of these things when we talk about, you don't have to go out and get a kit. You can actually build your own kit. Before COVID, I was always at the dollar store buying this, buying it. So you have your phone bank, and you make sure that you have your sanitizer. One of the other things is your medicine and your glasses. So when you look at people who are evacuating, right, we think, oh, okay, we don't have wildfires here, but we sometimes can have tornadoes, or we have the severe flooding where we have seen people had to evacuate. I know out south, not only here, people watch the show from everywhere, but you can actually flood and people have had to get rescued. I remember my father, he called me like a day. He says, oh yeah, we had to get rescued because it was so much water. He's up in northern Illinois near Freeport, and they had to get evacuated. It's on the border of Iowa. So if someone knocked on your door, what do you need to have? Now, you don't have to have a big bag. I have my big bag just because I'm always prepared. So, but something as small as this that you can have in your kit, you've got your phone. You want to make sure that if you have medicine, you want to also make sure that you can call the pharmacy and say, okay, well, you know what? I know that I'm a diabetic, or I know that I may need other medicine, and you can get a vacation, or you can get an extra, put that into your go kit. Because if you go and you have to be gone from your house for a few days, you're at a shelter possibly, or you're at somebody else's house. If it's civil unrest, you may not be able to get back and forth to where you're trying to go to, or if it's snow, or if it's flooding, you may not be able to get access back to that. So some of the things, if you think about, you need also a change of clothes. So if you have leggings, a t-shirt, something that you don't want, toss it in there, because you don't want to have to be in the same clothes that you left the house with for 3 days if you have to be there, or somebody else's house. Something else that is real simple is just those basic items. So you can get travel toothbrush, travel toothpaste. Also, you want to make sure that you have, tissue to cover your mouth. Also, masks. You're going to have your gloves in here. One of the big things that I always tell people is to have a little flashlight. So this thing, it sits in the palm of my hand. It's a flashlight. It's a flashlight, and I'm not going to blind anyone, but it actually illuminates. And then it has the other things here. Now, with your phone charger, one thing that I love here, and someone actually gave me this a gift in December at my party, is they know I'm an emergency manager. So this here is great because it is actually a flashlight. It's a flashlight, but then also so in case of emergency, so I keep this in my car. So this is actually a light to let people know if I'm in distress, but this is also a phone charger too. So little things like that, if you can get that, then that's fine. But some other things, now where do you keep your items? So you may people, okay, well, I got to go out and get a bag. Look around your house of the things that you have. This here, so for this here, this is just a plain water bottle. One thing that's awesome is this is a blanket. It's a Mylar blanket. So sometimes you'll see after the marathons, you see people after marathons and they put the silver blankets on them. This little thing covers your whole body, but this is perfect to have in your car. And you can find it at any kit, and if you go to Walmart or something, sometimes they'll have them at the dollar store. But this is going to actually keep you warm in case your car breaks down. So you gotta also think about where if I had an emergency or if I couldn't get, where would I have? So I've got this in my car if it's too cold. If you're in a warmer area, then you can go ahead and have like ice pack. These here will fire starter. I see what do you have in yours, Art?
Okay, so the kit that you presented to me was the safe kit. And so in my kit, I have compression gauze.
Okay.
In my kit, I have, I don't know what this is. Look like I could play Dr. Marcus Welby with this. A tourniquet.
Okay.
Let's see.
So you may actually have a real good feel. I can't remember which one I gave you. So
I have emergency bandage.
Okay, so this is if you're out and about.
I have stopped bleeding.
Okay.
I think you gave me this one because when we did the segment on my other show, we was talking about if Trey and Pook and them get shot and I'm standing there, what can I do? Or if, a drive by, that type of thing. So I think because you gave me a chest seal vented, whatever. I know this is you gave me this. Right. You just didn't give me the little Boy Scout, Girl Scout kit. You gave me, Lord, this fool done got shot, and I need to try to triage this person. So and I appreciate you for this. And I only take this out when I know I'm sure enough going someplace where something might pop off. So yeah.
But it's important to have that because you never know. You could be. It's not only where a gunshot. It could be a situation where you're at a barbecue or you are out and about at a park and a kid or somebody can fall out of a window or something. So it's still trauma and you want to be prepared. But to have that kit, you're going to put your compression. You have your compressions that they're gauze that you can put compression on. Hold that until it stops bleeding. You have your gloves. But the point is that we want to make sure that you look at those items around your house and say, okay, I use this every day. I need to definitely be able to put this in a kit, whether it's a little small thing. Even here, this is small, so you can start to prepare. So here I have allergy medicine. I have if I get a cold, just the little things that I would need. And then also, if you're a woman, you're gonna need personal hygiene items. So these are things that our guests were talking about. Who is writing? Who's writing our policies? And you think about it. As a woman, you're going to need different things. If you have a special needs child, or if you have an elderly person, so those are things that you want to think about. Say, you know what? I use this every day. I need to put this into a bag, even if you have a plastic bag, to keep your stuff. Even if you know you have this is going to keep things dry, and you keep it by the back door or by the front door, and that's there. Always your gloves. That's essential now. Everyone has their masks, their gloves, their hand sanitizer. So we know that's part of our culture now. So we're going to have that, but you want to add your everything, your everyday items that you use, and your phone charger.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so I can exactly tell you what's in my MERS, and my MERS is really like a European cross bag. So, again, traveling, going around the world, you want something close, near to you, something somebody cannot cut off. But right now in my bag, I keep at least $1 or $2 in coins, quarters, dimes, nickels, things like that. I also, in my bag, I bought a pin size screwdriver. This screwdriver, you can change the heads, you can, that type of thing. That's in my bag. I keep 2 ink pens always. I keep a pad of paper. I try to use fluorescent Post-it notes. So if you need to get somebody's attention, you can do that. I carry a phone charging cord. I carry a fully charged backed up battery. I carry a plug, an adapter plug, so you're able to plug in if you need to. I carry instant coffee, and I use a sugar substitute. I carry that with me in my bag. That way, if I ever need a cup of coffee, because it calms me, that type of thing, I have a cup of coffee in there. I have the Clorox, the white towel, the gloves, toilet seat covers, and all of this is neatly folded down that I'm able to take it. I also have eyeglass cleaner in a small, slim spray bottle. I have liquid soap in a small, slim bottle, alcohol wipes, and what else? That's it. Oh, and flushable wipes.
And flushable wipes. I love that you said that you have coffee in there, because a coffee packet, because that's one thing that I forgot to mention. You have this bag and then you haven't eaten, or your sugar may be low. So what do you have? So you have coffee. For me, I always get like a candy bar or something that you can put in there, because again, if you have to go to a shelter and it's the middle of the night, food's probably not going to be served until the morning, and you're going to have to wait a while, or who knows what food you get, or you go to somebody else's house, or you can be in a hospital. So yeah, have the coffee. I love it. And that sugar, at least you have something to hold you over.
Yes. And one of our viewers actually said this, and she's right. I carry a lighter with me that is flame proof. You know, I sometimes maybe matches, but I've now found little pocket-sized flame-proof lighters, windproof lighters. And yeah, windproof, not flame-proof, windproof. And so I keep that. Now, look, Ursula made a joke. She talking about that kit you gave me. I'm gonna need a class to learn how to use it. Right.
Yeah, I think Ursula, you're right. Yeah, I'm thinking so.
Girl, I'm sitting there like, okay, I'm reading the instructions like, oh Lord, I need somebody to play doctor on. That's what I need to do.
Not till we get to stage 6, right?
Yeah, not to stage 6. Booty call season is not until stage 6. You're absolutely right. You are. Danielle, is it anything else we need to be ready and prepared and all that? That you can offer us to know?
The fall, and a lot of people are going to be turning on their heat in Chicago. I wanted to turn on my heat yesterday, but my husband would not let me, so we didn't want to get into a fight. Check your smoke detectors. Check your smoke detectors, please, please, please. So every month, you whatever your birthday day. So my birthday falls on the 20th. Every month, I check my smoke detector and your CO detector. Make sure that you check that every month. And if you hear it chirping, please change those batteries. It is so important to change those batteries, because you'll hear. I know that sometimes you guys are on the phone with people. Everybody's on these Zooms, and we're hearing people's batteries chirp. That's your protection. That's your protection, because your house can burn down. And it's so many times we've seen that happen. So this is, as we come up to the fall, I want everyone to stay prepared. Make sure you check your smoke detectors, your CO detectors, change those batteries, check them once a month, make sure that they're working. Make sure that you have the items in your kit, your ready kit, that works for you. So you make sure those little things that you can't live without. If somebody knocked on your door and you had to be gone for a few days, what would you need for you and your family?
I love it. You're absolutely right. We've got to be ready. We've got to be prepared. And I thought this was a perfect subject for tonight, just to get people to think like that. Because again, we don't live where there are wildfires right now. And our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody who's been affected by that. Someone personal to me, her family lives out in Oregon, and she gave very graphic details about what is happening out there. And actually, her parents own a farm, and 5 of their employees lost everything. So she's even started a GoFundMe to help these people. So I'm going to see if I can try to get her on the show to talk about it. And then we have people who are going through hurricanes and tornadoes. Again, this is all stuff of just biblical proportion to me. I mean, we want to remind everyone that we're 50 days away from Election Day. Please do your due diligence. Please research and find out who you want to vote for. And let's do what we have to do to make it all happen. Right, Danielle?
That's right. Let's make sure that we put policies in place and we stay prepared and just stay safe. Keep your mask on, wash your hands. What we've been talking about for years, what your grandmother has been saying, now we really have to do that. So in honor of Preparedness Month, make sure that you know what your situation is. Don't forget about your pets. Don't forget about your family. And you can definitely make sure you check those smoke alarms as we get into the fall season.
Yes, very good. Well, Danielle, as always, you've done an outstanding job. You've gotten kudos on that chair you sitting in behind you. Show everybody that chair. That chair, look, that chair is fabulous, honey. Yes. Oh, is that the boss lady chair?
This is a boss lady chair. I just got it. I brought it all the way downstairs.
I'm in the market of getting me a new chair too. Now that I'm stuck doing this show every night, I've got to get me a new comfy chair. I do.
It has a leg extension and it goes all the way back. It's a gaming chair.
Oh my God, I love it. Danielle, real quick, how does a household of 2 first responders, how do you all just even, y'all always ready to, for an attack, a problem? Or so what's relaxing like for 2 first responders married to each other?
There is for us, I think relaxation is probably watching, to be honest with you, watching Black Panther or Marvel movies. That's what people know. We're either talking shop all day, talking about how talking about work and talking about, okay, what's our next steps and how we have to be prepared. And then even we debrief. So if my husband's done with the firehouse, he calls me in the morning. If you ever see the doctors at the hospital, they will go ahead and they talk in the morning. My husband will call me. He's on the way home. We're out. We will just debrief. Okay, we had this, and we don't say names or anything, but this is some. So I've been doing this since I was like 19. So only 2 years, but yes, I've been doing a long, right. I've been doing a long time. So everything is, and we're not, we still have, we're still human, but we live and breathe this stuff. And then when we're not doing this, we do make sure that we reach out to people and do the community part, because it's a village. It's a village, and we have to make sure that people stay safe. And that's what I'm here for. I just love doing what I do. I know that's what I'm on this earth. Thank you, Susan. I know that's what I'm on this earth for. So we just talk about this all the time. And then we have our middle child who's probably watching. Bless her heart. She's so sweet, but she'll call us and she won't. So out of our 3, we've got one that's prepared, one that 2 paired, but the one in the middle, I say, she's so sweet. She just said, Mama, just tell me what to do. No, I'm trying to get you ready, but Mama, just tell me what to do.
I love it. I do. So how can people stay in touch with you?
So people can reach me at Facebook. So at Danielle Cortes DeVito at Facebook, or I'm on Twitter. On Instagram, I think my page, Safety Queen, US Safety Queen on Instagram. I think that's but you can Google my name, no Z, but just an S. And then people can connect with me and just send me a message and tell me that you saw me on our show. We'll have a website coming up soon, so we can have resources for people to make sure that they can get in touch with me. And we can provide these resources and just keep people safe and during these really tough times.
Oh, I love you so much, my darling. This was a great show tonight. This was great. Give my brother-in-law a big hug and all the children and everybody. And you're right. I'm missing people. And so we'll have to figure out something. We're going to have to see how these holiday gatherings are going to go. You know what I'm saying? How do we, you sound like there may not be holiday gatherings.
I don't know.
We talked about Zoom Thanksgiving. We did. We talked about that last week, that they said that they think Thanksgiving will be over Zoom this year.
Yeah, that's trouble. Yeah, with the civil unrest and Juneteenth, I don't know if we're doing Thanksgiving. Kind of rethinking the narrative. Like, wait a minute, what are we being thankful for? So I think that'd be a whole nother conversation. But yeah,
Okay.
Thanksgiving will look different. You know, what I see is I see a lot of people on Facebook and social media, when they get together, they don't have the mask on. So I guess when you take the picture for Facebook, I guess you don't get COVID, but I'm just like, put your mask on. I know what you look like. I can look at your profile. So I don't take your mask off. I know what you look like, right? So I need to take my mask off to take the picture. Put the mask on. Trust me. But that's my thing. But that's what my fear is, that when people start to get together, that we let our guard down. That's my concern. I just don't want people to get sick. I know we want to hug, and we just got to wait a little bit longer, which is really tough. So yeah, Christmas and Thanksgiving will look different this year, but we'll hopefully by Valentine's Day, stage 6, we will be.
Lord. Oh Lord, you mean to tell me it'll almost be a year with no booty calls? Oh Lord, I feel faint. Oh. On behalf of Danielle Cortes DeVito, oh my God, I'm about to close out after that. Oh my Lord, Danielle, I love you so very much. Until we get stage 6, may not be the Valentine's Day, huh? And I just looked at some place, Florida, they're just now going to stage 2. So, you know,
they had the beaches. Don't forget, they had the beaches, and a lot of people were out at the beaches, and everyone is not on the same at the same time. So we had Illinois had some deaths. Indiana's deaths are not. So where we had California that started before us, I had colleagues that were calling us. They were saying, okay, this was in end of February, March, and we saw people with hazmats, and then it was like, what's going on in there? But then we started seeing everything in March, end of March, really everything was shut down in our shelter in place. So quarantine is actually if you've been exposed. So quarantine is I came back from a place where I could have been exposed. I stayed in the house for 2 weeks. That's quarantine. So we're really shelter in place because that's when we were at the lockdown and shelter in place. So quarantine is you've had an actual exposure and your doctor says stay in the house. But we're using the terms interchangeable because it's like you might as well be quarantined. You're staying in the house. You're not going anywhere.
Well, all right. Well, with that being said, thank you to our amazing co-host, Miss Danielle Cortes DeVito. We just love and adore her when she's here with us, and we appreciate her so much. She is our resident EMT and readiness person. September is National Preparedness Month, and that's why we had this show tonight. Don't forget, tomorrow night we're going to Chocalisa, Mississippi. We're going down to Pink. We're going to talk about the show P Valley. As well as we're going to talk about Mr. Gilliam down in Florida, who has now come out as bisexual. Wife says that she knew she had married a bisexual man. So all of that's so interesting. It's going to be a hell-raising show tomorrow night. Thank you, Danielle. We love you so much, my darling. Have a beautiful night. I love you. See you later. All right. Bye. All right, everybody. I want to remind you guys to do me a favor. Please go to YouTube and subscribe to the Real Chat Daddy Show. It's really easy, really simple. It does not cost you anything. Just hit that subscribe button. Also, go to Facebook, The Real Chat Daddy Show. Like that page. You can always watch encore performances of the show on both of those pages. Do me a favor, just share it. Start a watch party. Tell people how much you love The Real Chat Daddy Show. And we do what we do around here. I appreciate you guys so much for all your love and your feedback. And looking forward to tomorrow night's show. Don't forget to stop by my website when you get a yep, it's a wonderful website. It's really interactive. It's fun. Visit therealchatdaddy.com. Realchatdaddy.com. I love you guys. Leslie Taylor. I love you so much, Leslie Taylor. Thank you so much for all of your great feedback on my other page tonight. May you guys have a safe and wonderful evening. Don't forget, people, wear your mask. Easy and simple. Wear your mask. Sanitize. Social distance. And if you're not feeling well, keep your ass in the house. It's that easy. It's that simple. I love you guys so very much. God